Good morning. We're going to sing Joy to the World as you come over. Or you can stand from back there and sing. Number 245. Joy to the world, the word is come. Let earth with praises ring. Let every heart prepare a room. And heaven and nature sing. And heaven and nature sing. And heaven and nature sing. Joy to the earth, now gladness reigns. Let hearts their songs employ, while fields and floods, rocks, hills and plains, repeat the sounding joy, repeat the sounding joy, repeat the sounding joy. Let no more sins and sorrows grow, no thorns invest the ground. Let righteousness its glory show, as far as love is found, as far as love is found, as far as love is found.
Well, heaven and nature are certainly singing this morning, aren't they? It's beautiful out there. Thank you all for braving the weather today to be here in person. We're glad to have you, and glad to have the many of you who are staying at home where it's safe, as well as those who might be joining us from afar via our live stream today as well. So thanks to everybody for being here. Glad to have you. Want to begin, as always, by welcoming you to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Spokane, where we join together to create a nourishing, liberal religious home and to champion justice, diversity, and environmental stewardship in our wider world. Now, we've changed in short, just slightly, thanks to the genius of Lynn Janician, who suggested this to me last week, and I thought it was great and tried it out first service, and people said, oh yeah, let's do it. So instead of create community, find meaning, and work for justice, we're changing to create community, find meaning, and live justly. Live justly. You like that? Yeah, good, right? That puts the onus on us and doesn't blame somebody else. I love it. So we'll do that from now on. So create community, find meaning, live justly. Want to try it? Or as we say in short, to create community, find meaning, and live justly. Great, thank you. And again, welcome to all of you. We want to begin, as always, by embracing all that you come with, all of your unique beliefs, your background, your lifestyle, your experiences, your differences, all that helps make you who you are is welcome here today. So glad to have everyone, whether you're here for the first time or regular attendees, or again joining us via our stream. Thanks to everyone for being here. I do sadly need to begin our service by noting that the Unity Candle is lit at the front of our service, something that we do when one of our members has passed away during the week. And on Friday morning, a longtime church member, Wayne Atwood, passed away. Yeah, I know. I can't even say enough good things about Wayne. I considered him a good friend and a tremendous support to me, but also a tremendous support to our congregation in so many ways. And he's going to be missed. Fortunately, he didn't linger long, and was able to have a quality of life really right up until about 8 hours before his death. And I was always astonished. Wayne, I think he was almost 95. He was just a birthday away. In every service, Wayne would come up after every service, come up after the sermon, take my hands, and he'd unleash a witticism or two that he had memorized. Some quotation, some random quotation, somebody famous that he pulled out that reminded him of the sermon or added to it. And I just thought, man, I wish I can't even remember what some of those things were that he told me, but he could remember them throughout his life and was still sharing them. So he was such an active, vibrant person, and it's really hard to not have him here. So we'll let you know when there's a memorial service planned. There will be, but we want to, for now, keep his daughters, of course, Michelle and Denise, in our thoughts, as well as the rest of their family. And we'll keep our candle lit in memory of his light and life in our lives. I do have one other announcement I want to mention this morning, and that is that next Sunday, December 10th, we are going to be having really incorporating our annual decorating and cookie party with our service. I think we started this, was it last year the first time we did this, or 2 years ago? 2 years ago. And so what's going to happen is you'll come to church, and the children are going to give you an ornament. And in no time flat, we're going to get up and we're going to go and we're going to decorate the tree and come back, and it's going to be decorated just like that. The miracle of community. And we're also going to have our winter cookie sale, which is a fundraiser. The kids are going to actually decorate the cookies. Is that right? Some of the cookies. Okay, so those are going to be the most expensive ones because they're hand decorated. So bring cash. Actually, we'll probably have a scanner, but cash we'll accept money in all forms. And bring cookies too. Okay, that's good to know.
So everybody can bring cookies to sell, buy cookies.
So bring cookies and we'll sell them to you. Okay? But I know you're such a generous lot that you will be more than happy to do so. So thank you in advance for that. Looking forward to it. Okay, yeah, let's take a couple of minutes here at the start of our service now to greet one another. If you are joining us, don't be shy. All right. We had a trinity of gongs today in a Unitarian church. That's kind of weird. By the way, Margaret Albo is over here with the camera, who is a freelance photographer who's been called by the Financial Times for a story they're doing on Unitarian Universalism. So she'll be taking some photographs during our service, and we're very glad you're here. So thanks for doing that, and feel free to get some coffee or tea or a soft seat or whatever you need, okay? Yep. Okay, we are now going to move forward by lighting our chalice. The chalice is the symbol of our unity and our solidarity, of our openness and our inclusion, of our community and our individual uniqueness. May this small flame be our offering of warmth to those who are cold and alone, and a light to those in darkness. May it be a flame that ignites justice in our world, and a beacon of hope to those in need, and may it reflect at least a spark of truth wherever truth has been lost, and cast a healthy shadow of doubt wherever it's been found.
For my opening reflection this morning, I'm going to share a poem that my wife's father, Nelson Ottenhausen, wrote called The Search. We are self-ordained to search for something. Sometimes we do so in the past, sometimes we do so in the future, but seldom do we do so in the present, for that is where everything happens. We fill our brains with clatter of past regrets and future fantasies, yet we rarely see the countryside, the ruts in the road, or nature in the now, for that is where everything happens. We are not always aware of the trees, of the flowers, or that we even breathe. We pay little heed to our immediate existence and remove ourselves from the moment of living, for that is where everything happens. Whatever passage we choose to lose ourselves from our true being, it will always remain as a fingerprint on our destiny, and someday it will become clear that we are always at the beginning, for that is where everything happens.
Please stand, join me for Winter Night, number 256. Winter night, clear and bright, a weary world is sleeping, and then a cry fills earth and sky, a newborn child is weeping. Hush-a-bye, lullaby, blessed little baby. Drops of pain flow like rain, tell why your tears are falling. For humankind so frail, unkind, or for your own life's calling. Hush-a-bye, lullaby, blessed little baby. Holy child, every child, your life will have its season, and each new day your heart may pray for grace, for peace, for reason. Hush-a-bye, lullaby, blessed little baby.
with this snow. I'm just looking out the windows, mesmerized by the softness of the snow falling. Pretty beautiful. I see snow every winter, but it just always feels magical to me to look out the windows and see it falling. Well, we're going to kindle our candles of care for those who are most on our hearts and minds this morning, and begin as we have been on behalf of the people of Ukraine and that part of the world who are being impacted by the violence and war there, as well as sadly the people in Israel and Palestinians who are suffering terrible violence there as well. And we do have a candle this morning for church members Tanya and Kurt Workmaster. Tanya has some pretty serious health issues she's dealing with right now, and I know that they would appreciate us holding them in our thoughts. Let's take a moment of silence, embracing others that you might be thinking of, and as always, you're welcome to name them aloud at this time if you'd like. Those named aloud and those embraced in our silence, and all those who are suffering in our world at this hour, we hold in our community with compassion. And we now gratefully give and receive this morning's offering, which helps sustain this community and our mission to the larger world. Thank you, Madeline. I shared during first service that one of the really interesting things about Madeline's description of what music means in her life is, even though she has her guitar here, she considers her body her instrument. That's the instrument that she works with and practices and develops in order to make beautiful music. And I think the song that she I don't know if that's a song, it's okay to call it a song, really proves the point well. And oddly, this really fits in well with my sermon in a little bit, the sort of emphasis that, at least in my life, I place on embodiment, on being gross and being real and being in touch with the earth. So thank you for that, and I know that in your ministry here you'll be teaching a lot of us to better embody ourselves. But now I'm going to invite our children to come forward for a story for all ages. Yes. I'm glad to see you guys sitting in chairs. You're getting so much smarter. Oh, unless you really want to sit on the floor, that's okay too. Okay, so I want to start off with a couple of questions, okay? The first one is a question. How many of you have ever thought about something? Everybody. Nothing? Everybody should be, how about everybody should be raising, how many, okay, we've got, okay, all right, everybody's thought about something. How many of you have ever had a feeling about something? Everybody here thinks and feels? Do we have, you don't, except for Max. I don't believe you. Max thinks, feels, and kids a lot. He sure does. He thinks it's funny when he doesn't raise his hand. Let me see. It is. It is funny when you don't raise your hand. He's right about that, isn't he? So. And he's happy about it, I know. That's why I love Max. Max is a little bit like me. We're rebels. And you're a rebel? Okay, but you raise your hand. You're a rebel too? You're a rebel. Are you guys rebels? No, not everybody. Okay, all right, enough with the questions, okay? No, those were good. So you're thinking about things right now and feeling things, and we're having laughter and thoughts, so that's good. So the reason I asked is this reminds me of something I want to read to you. How many of you have seen The Wizard of Oz? So you were in the play?
Yeah.
Who did you play in the play? Who did you play in the play?
I was the mayor of Munchkin City.
The mayor of Munchkin City. Oh, a politician in our future. Yeah, who were you?
I was stage help and all the and my mom was a director. Also a general.
A general and a stagehand. Wow, awesome. Okay. All right. Yes, go ahead. Your school did the play, and what were you? You were not a Munchkin, were you? No? He wasn't in the play, but you've seen it. Okay. What were you going to say? And then I'll get back to this. You've seen the movie with your dad. Okay. All right. Here's one more question. How many of you have read the book? You read the comic book? You've read the book. You've heard of it. Okay, good. Close enough for our purposes. So the book was written, The Wizard of Oz, by Frank Baum. And in it, there's a piece where the Scarecrow and the Tin Woodman are talking about what they're going to ask from the wizard. And they're arguing over which is better, a heart or a brain. So here's what it says. Here's what the book says. Here's what the book says, okay? All the same, said the Scarecrow, I shall ask for brains instead of a heart, for a fool would not know what to do with a heart if he had one. Well, I shall take the heart, returned the Tin Woodman, for brains do not make one happy, and happiness is the best thing in the world. And Dorothy did not say anything, for she was puzzled to know which of her two friends was right. Both of them were. I like that. Yeah. You need both to live. Very good. You guys are brilliant. Go ahead.
The bucket man, how does he not even have a heart? If he doesn't have a heart, then he can't live.
If he doesn't have a heart, that he can't live. Yeah. This is the thing about fantasy. I don't know. All right. Okay. So, now I was a child in the 70s. That means that I saw this same argument played out between Dr. McCoy and Mr. Spock on the Star Trek television series. Have you guys heard of Star Trek? You watched it. Good. You watched it with your dad. I think that's a good father you have. Okay? Yes, he should love it. As should we all. Okay. So, their arguments went something like this, okay? All right. Yes, okay. Their arguments went something like this. Let's see, who starts? Mr. Spock, all right? It's important to think logically. Use your feelings, man. You're half human. Doctor, are you thinking scientifically or emotionally? I'm a doctor, not a computer. So, for instance, there was an episode in which Captain Kirk turned into two people because of a transporter accident. One was very angry, and the other was very timid, and they were going to have to try something very dangerous, life-threatening, to put the two halves back together. Please leave me out of this. I already have a splitting headache. We'll do that, Captain. Okay. Jim, you can't risk your life on a theory. Being split in half is no theory to me, Doctor. I have a half-human half, as well as an alien half, constantly at war with each other. I survive because my intelligence wins over both, makes them live together. Then there was the time they were trying to escape a hostile alien planet, but had to run back to save Spock, even though they didn't have time and he had ordered them to leave. I told you to lift off. Don't be a fool, Mr. Spock. We wouldn't leave you out there. The logical thing for you to have done was to leave me behind. Spock, remind me to tell you that I'm sick and tired of your logic. That is most illogical. So, maybe Dorothy is right. We have to learn to think well and to feel well as we journey down the yellow brick road. She's smart enough to take the Scarecrow and the Tin Woodman on her journey, just as Captain Kirk is fortunate to have both Mr. Spock and Dr. McCoy on his ship. Mr. Spock is the most cold-blooded man I've ever known. Why, thank you, Doctor. Okay, we'll sing. You guys think that was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go.
As we move into a time of meditation, I invite you to find a comfortable position, put your feet on the floor, close your eyes if you wish, relax with a slow and deep breath in, and reflect on this thought. Ubuntu is a philosophy espoused by, among many in sub-Saharan Africa, Archbishop Desmond Tutu. It is a Nguni Bantu term meaning humanity. It is sometimes translated as I am because we are, or humanity towards others. Its fundamental tenet is that a person is a person only through other persons, not the Western idea of I think, therefore I am, but instead, and more simply, I am because you are. We exist and are uplifted only through our connection to another person. We will be good and noble and our biggest and most beautiful versions of ourselves only through the eyes and hearts of others. We flourish only in response to another human being. Something to think about.
The song is a little bit cheeky. I wasn't sure how it would go over for the first service, and it seemed like it worked out pretty well. It's a song that I wrote a couple years ago for Solstice, and it was a story about a woman who travels into an underground labyrinth and has philosophical conversations. This is one of the songs from that piece. Like a monster in my closet, a delusion of the mind that makes me check behind the door, intending there to find a wandering new adventure or an ending to my life. I engage with all attention as it hinges on tonight. Delusion's state is powerful, it shapes how we behave with our imagination in a hallucination cave. Know when it's imagination, and know when something's real that senses can perceive and muscle flesh can feel. Like a monster in my closet, a delusion of the mind. Let's both go behind the door and see what we can find.
Thank you, Madeline. That was a perfect introit to my sermon, for sure. So the title of my sermon is Spiritual, with a question mark behind it, and that question mark is mine. I've avoided talking much about spirituality from the pulpit because it is such an ill-defined term that it becomes meaningless unless those using it clearly, specifically, and consistently explain what they mean by it. For me, the word is more nebulous even than the word God, which in ordinary use at least refers to a conscious and powerful entity whom some believe is the eternal creator and controller of everything. But spiritual lacks a common association, although it's often used as if we all know exactly what it means, without explanation. If one tells a friend, for example, I heard a very spiritual song at church today, I'm sure they're going to say that after Madeline's song right now. The friend might think that it was a song about the glory of God, or a song that was emotionally moving, or one that was intellectually stimulating, or that their friend heard a song that originated from American slaves, or something else altogether. Looking to dictionaries for what it means only compounds the problem. There are so many possible definitions, including conflicting definitions, that a dictionary search only proves the point that those using the term and those hearing it may not understand each other even if they think they do. Additionally, many of the definitions define spiritual by using it as part of its own definition, which is supposed to be taboo among lexicographers. What they are doing in these cases is defining the term extensionally by pointing to examples of what the term is supposed to refer to, rather than defining it intentionally by referring to qualities that make something spiritual. And this, I believe, is because the term is just too vague to do so. For example, Oxford Dictionary defines spiritual as relating to or affecting the human spirit or soul, as opposed to material or physical things. Then uses it in the following sentence: I am responsible for his spiritual welfare. So explaining that the word is the opposite of material and physical things is helpful, but simply telling us spirit and soul are different than something else does not tell us anything that is inherently true about either. Is everything that is non-physical spiritual? And when it comes down to it, what is not physical? Even thoughts and beliefs are produced by our brains. The ancients believed that breath and wind and air were the actions of invisible spirits. And this is, in fact, what spirit means, breath, which is why it is also the root of the word inspiration. That is what spirit means. Expiration refers to one who has stopped breathing, who has expired. According to Genesis, the Lord God formed the man of the dust from the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living creature. Hence, this example of spiritual welfare is meaningless, as meaningless as the term spiritual, if we don't know what it means. Does it mean baptizing an infant into the right religion, as the Catholics do, in order to assure their spiritual welfare throughout their lives? They think so. Or does it mean waiting to baptize an adult who freely chooses their religion, as many Protestants do, because that's watching out for their spiritual welfare? Or does it mean freeing one from the trappings of any established religion, as William James suggested in his classic book, The Varieties of Religious Experience, 100 years ago? Or does it mean orchestrating a religious service in which participants have an emotional experience? Or does it refer to one of many other possibilities? Merriam-Webster's first definition is similar to that of Oxford's. It says, relating to, consisting of, or affecting the spirit in corporeal spiritual needs, and is as inadequate for the same reasons. It uses the very word it attempts to define as part of its definition, and as with spiritual welfare, gives us no idea what is supposed to be meant by incorporeal spiritual needs. But today, thanks to the 1774 discovery by the actual Unitarian chemist and theologian Joseph Priestley, we now know air is not an entity with a mind of its own, but a chemical compound composed of one element, oxygen, the most abundant element on Earth. I think it's the third most abundant element in the universe. And I wonder if upon announcing this discovery, some people told Priestley that he was too intellectual and calling the invisible element atomic number 8 not very spiritual. So here are some of the many other definitions of spiritual, 22 to be exact, found in Oxford, Merriam-Webster, Cambridge dictionaries, and from dictionary.com. 1. Relating to religion or religious belief, the tribe's spiritual leader. 2. Not concerned with material values or pursuits. 3. Relating to sacred matters. 4. Spiritual songs. 5. Ecclesiastical and spiritual authority, rather than lay or temporal. 6. Concern with religious values. 7. Related or joined in spirit, our spiritual home. 8. Relating to supernatural beings or phenomenon. 9. Relating to or involving spiritualism, spiritualistic. 10. Relating to deep feelings and beliefs, especially religious beliefs. 11. Of or relating to the mind and intellect, completely opposite. 12. Traditional ways of life fulfilling both economic and spiritual needs. 13, a type of religious song originally developed by African Americans in the U.S. 14, relating to the inner character of a person, the group's spiritual leader. 15, relating to or consisting of spirit, incorporeal. 16, of or relating to the spirit or soul as distinguished from physical nature, a spiritual approach to life. 17, closely akin in interest, attitude, outlook, the professor's spiritual air in linguistics, for example, linguistics. 18, of or relating to spirits or to spiritualists, supernatural and spiritualistic. 19, characterized by or suggesting predominance of the spirit, ethereal and delicately refined. She is more of a spiritual type than her rowdy brother. 20, of or relating to spirit as the seat of the moral and religious nature. 21, of or relating to sacred things or matters, religious, devotional, sacred. And 22, of or belonging to the church, ecclesiastical. Did that help? Now we're more confused than ever. So you can see the chance, right, if you use the term to somebody, hey, that's not very spiritual, or that's really spiritual. I mean, we don't know what they mean by that. We might think we do because maybe we have one of these definitions, but it's not the same. So which of these many definitions is meant by the word spiritual? Does it refer to religious persons, ideas, rituals, songs? Does it refer to those who gather together for seances to communicate with the dead? Does it refer to supernatural events, to disembodied non-physical events? Does it refer to an emotional experience or to an intellectual experience? Does it refer to the connection of those who share common beliefs and share a similar interest or attitude? Does it refer to traditional ways, to doing things the way of our ancestors? Does it refer to belief in God or gods? Does it refer to a belief in an intelligent and benevolent universe? These questions explain why I am reluctant to use the word myself and why I haven't given a sermon on spirituality in the past. I like to speak about topics that I can study and gain some competent understanding of. When it comes to spirituality, I could go off in 1,000 different directions, and I would still not be able to give an adequate explanation, at least not a comprehensive explanation of it. So here I will only concentrate on the reasons that I don't talk much about it, and why I often recoil a little when others do, and why I prefer to use other language instead. So having already discussed the vagueness of the term, which is why I don't often use it, unless explaining what I mean by it in a particular instance, I will move on to why I often have negative feelings about it, about the word, or maybe a negative reaction to it. And this largely has to do with my experiences and concerns as a liberal and as a liberal minister, both of which are rooted in the primacy of reason and empiricism. Okay, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm a Unitarian. That's why I'm a liberal, because those things are of prime importance to me. To me, this means that the beliefs we hold and the claims we make ought to be rooted in logic and evidence. Doesn't mean we have all the answers, but this is part of our groping. So if being more spiritual means being less intellectual, if it is stated to disguise one's anti-intellectualism, then it troubles me, and I'm often offended by the suggestion that a baseless way of thinking should be considered more sound than a rational and scientific one. Reality. Reality is another quality of liberalism. and our liberal religion. Liberalism is a means of coping with reality so that we don't delude ourselves. Right? Because avoidance of reality causes us to delude ourselves. Religion at its best enables us to cope with reality. They help as the Unitarian Universalist Association. Bylaws now tenuously state to warn us against idolatries of the mind and spirit. To warn us against idolatries of the mind and spirit. Again, I'm not sure what is meant by spirit, but I'm glad the UUA holds, at least for now, that even our so-called spiritual beliefs must be tempered by reason and science. Yet there has long been a tension in our liberal religion between its uniquely intellectual disposition and those who would prefer it become just another so-called spiritual religion, although few ever directly explain what they mean by this. Just this week, I heard an intelligent presentation critical of Unitarianism's intellectual approach to religion and to life in general. It was further suggested that the solution to this age-old problem with Unitarianism is to refashion our religious services so that we hear the same message each week. That would make it easy on me. A message about the centrality of emotion and personal experience, and that our services be orchestrated by our ministers and music directors to arouse a particular emotional experience in order to get us out of our heads. And it was suggested that if we do this, people will come in droves to our services, and that we would not only save our dying churches, but the entire world in the process. Because people will be enraptured in feeling and experience, free from the cold, meaningless, and pointless impacts of reason. Now, there may be some truth to this, given the global success of Pentecostalism in recent decades, which is about the only world religion that's growing, while most others are in decline. According to a now 18-year-old Pew Research report, by all accounts, Pentecostalism and related charismatic movements represent one of the fastest growing segments of global Christianity. Given the number of more recent online articles claiming the same thing, I'd say that this trend remains true today. According to a 2014 Pew study of 18 countries, Latin America, of all places, which has traditionally been Catholic, has the fastest growing number of Pentecostals in the world today. And worldwide, 1 in 4 Christians now consider themselves such. So I bring this up because Pentecostal services are all about mindless emotional experiences. That's not an insult. But they're about mindless emotional experiences, which they define as the utmost spiritual experience, like faith healing and speaking in tongues, stirred up by what participants believe is the Holy Spirit. Right? That's why it's Pentecostals. The Pentecost was the day the Holy Spirit descended and gifted people with these divine gifts, these magic powers. So if this is really the kind of experience people want, there are already plenty of opportunities other than the Unitarian Church. And if this is what we must become to save Unitarianism, why bother? So let's just let our small religion continue dying. If that's really what's happening, I don't believe it is. It is true that Ralph Waldo Emerson himself famously referred to Unitarianism as a corpse-cold religion. But that was almost 200 years ago. That's a very long time to be at death's door. Even for those claiming it must fundamentally change before it's too late, right? The urgency. We've got to change who we are before it's too late, before we die. To me, our greatest challenge is staying the course and remaining true to our historic roots and values in the wake of constant pressure to become a religion of emotion and superstition, which is often what I believe is meant by the complaint that our religion isn't very spiritual. And this is the reason I find myself so often troubled by the word. Because over the years, I've not only heard people complain that our religion isn't spiritual enough, but I myself am not spiritual. Not very spiritual. Yet as usual, those I've asked struggle to define what they mean. I believe what they really mean is not that I should be more spiritual, but that I should be less intellectual. They don't want more of something, but less of something. By which I mean less grounded in reason and empiricism, and to talk less about real matters. To talk less about real things. Now I have to go off track again like I did first service here. Because this word matter matters. Okay? You have spirit, spear, breath, anima, soul, the Latin word for soul, which animates and moves us. But this word matter has the same root as the word mother, mater. And it refers to the material existence that gives us life, that is life. And so often we seem to want to deny the importance of matter. Matter is mundane. Matter is something to escape. Matter is something that holds us back. And we're killing the earth in the process because it doesn't matter. So you understand the tendency to want to avoid reality because reality is painful. Matter is heavy. Matter is grave. It has gravitas. It has gravity. It pulls us down. We want to escape that into something light, something always light and bright that makes us feel good about existence. It makes us feel certain, like something is in control, something's watching out for us in an uncertain world that can be dangerous. So to say that these things are, to use euphemisms, to reject being in touch with reality, well, it's not my religion. It's not my way. And I draw this conclusion that this is what is meant because hostility toward reason, in particular, is something liberalism has contended with since its inception. Right? The counter-Enlightenment movement started during the Enlightenment, and it was a rejection of reason. And it is such hostility that brought an end to the Enlightenment, also known as the Age of Reason, and to modernism itself during the 20th century, leaving us in the postmodern world we're now in, the postmodern milieu, where you can believe whatever you want, and nobody better challenge it, because you might get canceled, or it might harm someone. Disagreement is harmful. So oddly, it was Friedrich Schleiermacher, the 18th century theologian, who is often referred to as the father of liberal religion, who said that feeling is the essence of religion. which he defined as the consciousness of being absolutely dependent, or which is the thing of being in relationship to God, the longing to surrender oneself and be absorbed into a greater, the feeling of absolute dependence upon the infinite. He also said that religion is not knowledge and science, and argued that religious beliefs and experiences should not be judged or encroached upon by the principles of science and physics. In his view, religion has its own validity outside of any other sphere and should be appreciated without being subjected to rational and scientific scrutiny. Now, Schleiermacher was theologically radical for his time because he embraced historical and critical interpretations of the Bible. He emphasized individual religious experience and was ecumenical in his approach. But I agree with historian Richie Robertson in his book on the Enlightenment, who says that it is his approach to religion where Schleiermacher bids farewell to the Enlightenment. So even though he's called the father of liberal religion, he bids farewell to the Enlightenment liberalism when it comes to religion. And this is because, Schleiermacher said, religion requires a childlike passivity. Does that turn you on? For Schleiermacher, Robertson says, religion means abandoning claims to autonomy and accepting that one is utterly dependent upon something far greater than oneself. So he may be the father of liberal religion, but he is not the father of our liberal religion, which is founded upon the Enlightenment principles of reason, science, independence, individualism, and a belief in universal truths that persist despite our particular feelings and our subjective experiences, despite what we want to be true. If the word spiritual is subterfuge for emotionalism, anti-intellectualism, and anti-individualism, I want no part of it. On the contrary, I consider the problem with our society today in general, and with Unitarian Universalism in particular, emotionalism and irrationalism. The problem is not that there is too much reason and science in the world, but not enough. The problem is not that we need more people leaping over the pews, shouting nonsensical words, but fewer. And I further disagree that intelligent people aren't in touch with their feelings. Intelligent people are just as capable of being emotional and emotionally mature as anyone else, if not more so, meaning they are aware of and in control of their feelings and able to empathize and get along well with others. Smart people can do that. The dichotomy between reason and emotions is a false one. People who feel, think. People who think, feel. Thoughts and feelings are part of the same process. They are not separate and segregated events. Thoughts cause us to feel. Feelings cause us to think. They are married, perhaps just different qualities of the same experience, the same event. And there are lots of creatures on this planet who have feelings and experiences, including cockroaches. Nothing against cockroaches. I don't want any in my house, but no creature can reason like we can. To treat this rare evolutionary gift as a curse or as an intruder upon our lives, it seems inexplicable. Yet I believe this is because too many of us are afraid to face reality on its own terms, as it is, using what tools we can. So we demean those things which require us to do so, like reason and science. We demean our intellectuals as being overly concerned about material and worldly matters, against Mater, against the mother of us all. concerned about matter. And they elevate those obsessed with disembodied spirits, things for which there is no evidence. Spiritual things like beliefs in almighty gods and destiny in a benevolent and intelligent universe that are keeping us safe from life's harsh realities. Be in the world, but not of it. It's so spiritual. The world is dukkha, suffering, so don't cling to it, don't believe in it, it's only an illusion. Oh, it's so spiritual. But to return to my earlier point, the association of spirituality with feelings is only one of its many definitions. Again, thoughts themselves are sometimes considered spiritual. It's also a term that refers to values and ethics, to social and cultural constructs like justice and human rights, as well as to religious beliefs and philosophical ideas about meaning, about the nature of reality, about existential questions, all of which are subjects that I routinely speak about in this pulpit. In fact, that's pretty much all I ever speak about. So rather than trying to agree upon one definition of the word spiritual, which seems impossible, it might be better for us to begin to identify various kinds of spirits, of those things that inspire some of us, but not all of us. Again, spirit shares the same root as the word spear and can be thought of in general as anything that spears us, anything that deeply penetrates us, that gets inside us, that inspires us, that possesses us. Spirits can be fleeting in this way. They can come and go, or they can stay with us for our entire lives. They can be good spirits and bad spirits. We can get addicted to spirits, whether it's a bad ideology or to a bottle of booze. We can be overtaken by a collective spirit, a team spirit. We can get into the spirit of things, the spirit of an age, like the spirit of 76. The list of possible spirits that move and motivate us is almost endless, which is why it makes little sense to say something isn't spiritual just because they aren't necessarily inspired or reflective of one's own spirits. Most spiritual experiences, or I should say my spiritual experiences, are grounded in things that are real, as they are for a lot of us. I call myself a creation spiritualist, for example. And when I talk about that, I explain what it is, by the way. So you know what I'm talking about. And we don't have to agree about it, but I want you to at least know what I mean by the word. And this means that I am inspired by nature, as many of us are, by the birth of a new snow shower. It's why I love John Denver so much and his hymns, his beautiful hymns about the Rocky Mountain highs, country roads, sunshine on my shoulders, to sail on a dream on a crystal clear ocean, to ride on the crest of a wild raging storm. Those are real things. Powerful things, scary things. And he sings of our senses being filled with real things, right? Like a night in the forest, like a mountain in springtime, like a walk in the rain, like a storm in the desert, like a sleepy blue ocean. These things, these sensual realities, fill me with as much awe and wonder and joy and calm as any religion can. Maybe more so. And it is because they are real, worldly, physical, material experiences that I am deeply compelled to use everything at my disposal, including especially reason and science, to seek and understand and commune with them. I resonate with those mystics of old like Meister Eckhart, who said, every creature is a word of God and a book about God. And Hildegard of Bingen, who said, who said, the word manifests itself in every creature. And Mechtild of Magdeburg, who said, the truly wise person kneels at the feet of all creatures. And the old rabbinic saying, creation is the infinite in the garb of the finite. To attend to creation is to attend to God. Right in the old Hebrew scriptures, the word wisdom is a feminine word that referred to the physical manifestation of God. We cannot comprehend or experience this invisible thing called God, but we can see the results. We can feel the results. We can experience the results. We can, in matter, as the feminine, as wisdom. It's the only way to experience these things. So to disregard the mater, the wisdom, right? And but that, by the way, that was changed in the Gospel of John, the Gnostic Gospel, right? It's no longer called it. It re-quoted or rephrased the quote that said, "I am wisdom. I have been with him in the beginning." To I am the Word, the Logos, and the Logos was wisdom. It turns it into a masculine term instead of a feminine term, instead of a material. Just another thing to think about as you start considering the depth of this conversation, the depth of these words and what they mean. So these are my spirits, the breath that moves and animates me. It's not about disembodied things, but about embodiment, including appreciation for the astonishing mass of cells in my body's cranium that allow me to think and wonder and contemplate the meaning of it all. As a great intellectual, Albert Einstein, great intellectual and scientist Albert Einstein once said, the most beautiful thing we can experience is the mysterious. It is the source of all true art and science. One to whom this emotion is a stranger, who can no longer pause to stand wrapped in awe, is as good as dead. So I do not agree that reason and physical reality are barriers to finding meaning, purpose, joy, truth, and wonder in life. On the contrary, they are the very processes that can bring us to our knees before the altar of life, that enable us to better cope with reality, to endure suffering, and to pursue the world's mysteries and wonders, and as such, to truly live by standing wrapped in awe. Thank you. Thank you.
Please stand. Join me for our last hymn, O Come, Emmanuel, number 225. O come, Emmanuel, and with your captive children dwell. Give comfort to all exiles here, and to the aching heart bid cheer. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel.
For our closing words today, I will share with you the words from Maureen Killeran called Hard Times. No matter how weak or how frightened we may feel, we each have gifts that can make a difference in the world. In this coming week, may you do at least one thing to support the broken, to welcome the stranger, to celebrate what is worthy, to do the work of justice and love. Be strong, be connected, and each day act so that you may be a little more whole. Amen. Blessed be. Salam alaikum and shalom.
Shalom.